Hello, dear friends, I'm with you. We have been with you for a very long time and are looking forward to updating the Ice and Flame mod. The update was announced several months ago, and now it has finally happened. It has come out. This update, as promised, was made for a new version of the main, namely for 1.15.2, and the main characters of this update are Thunder Dragons. But let's push them to the sweetest and start talking about everything in order. First of all, I want to mention the new items that appeared in the previous update, but which I didn't have time to tell you about. The most significant of them are the dragon summoning crystals. This interesting and necessary thing is being crafted for each type of dragon separately, that is, separately for fire, and separately for ice. And of course, in the new version, summoning crystals also appeared for storm dragons. For each type of crystal, you need a bottle of dragon's blood of the same type, an ender pearl, a diamond, and a gemstone suitable for the type of dragon. The ice ones have this sapphire, the fire ones have an emerald, and the storm ones have amethyst. But we will talk about amethysts a little later. The summoning crystal is good because it does not push the dragon inside itself, but only binds it. If you need a pet, you can summon it with a crystal. Let's see how it works. Here I have a cute fire dragon, whose name is Legion. Let's go to it and click on it with the summoning crystal with the right mouse button. If the crystal does not fit this particular dragon, that is, it will not be fiery, then nothing will work, as do not click. If the crystal is correct, then a mark with a dragon's head will appear on it, and when you hover the cursor, you will see which dragon this particular crystal is tied to. Now you can go on a journey and not be afraid that you will lose the dragon on the way or that he will wander off somewhere from home. In the wandering mode, when the dragon is needed, just take the crystal in your hand and right-click on some block. Your pet will immediately come to you, and the mark of the dragon's head on the crystal will disappear. Therefore, if you want to leave the dragon somewhere again, it makes sense to tie it to the crystal again. This way you can carry as many dragon crystals with you as you can carry. If you die on the way and lose the crystals, then nothing terrible will happen. The dragons will not be lost, they'll just be waiting for you where you left them. Of course, there is a risk that you will lose the crystals themselves, the crafting of which is not exactly cheap, but compared to the same dragon horn, with the loss of which you lose your pet, and in my opinion these are trifles. By the way, since we remembered the horn, it has undergone some changes. Now, by the color of the horn, you can immediately understand which dragon is in it: fire, ice, or thunder. In addition, the call from the horn has become easier. You do not need to hold the right mouse button for a long time, but just click it once on some block. So, I told you about the bonuses of crystals. Now a couple of words about what you need to take into account when using them. First of all, you will not be able to summon a dragon to another dimension. That is, if you left the dragon at home, and then went to hell, and there you suddenly needed him, then you can at least pinch. The dragon will not be called. Conclusion: if you need a dragon in another dimension, you still have to take risks and drag it into the horns, which is actually not bad, because in this situation, the horn does not lose its relevance. Of the interesting changes in previous versions, let me remind you that they were still on the 12th version of the main. Absolutely all skulls can be converted into bone meal. So if you have nowhere else to put them, you can still find a decent use instead of just throwing them away. Crafting of dragon nest blocks has also appeared. These blocks are made of dragon bone, surrounded by blocks of hay, but they look, to be honest, so-so. There is no description of these blocks anywhere, and in the course of experiments, I did not notice that they in any way affected the speed of egg hatching and dragon growth, or somehow restored their health. In general, why they are needed today is a mystery covered in darkness. If you know something about these blocks, dear friends, please share your knowledge in the comments below this video. I think it will be interesting to many. This is all about the previous updates. Well, now we finally move on to the most important thing of the newest version of the Ice and Flame to Zero mod. This is both a joyful and a sad event at the same time. It is joyful because we have finally waited for our storm dragons. and they are on one of the latest versions of Lane 115 too. Well, it's sad because on the 12th version of the main, we, apparently, will not get anything else but bug fixes. That is, fans of the 12th version of these same Storm Dragons, apparently, will not see as their ears. However, nothing prevents us from hoping for the best. Maybe the developers will take pity and give out something else for the good old and beloved 112 too. So, Storm Dragons, they're Storm Dragons. Alas, I do not know how their names will sound exactly in Russian translation, despite the fact that they were threatened to be made rare, like a phoenix bird, and elusive, like a poltergeist. They still turned out to be quite real and quite adequately tamed. You will not need to catch stormy weather to see this wonderful phenomenon of nature. A dragon that spits electric discharges. Storm dragons live in savannas, jungles, and clay mountains. The nests of low-level individuals are found on the surface, and they are sent out by blocks cracked from electrical discharges. And the favorite metal of these dragons, copper. Cracked blocks are new. Previously there were only charred and frozen. Storm dragons are found in 4 colors: black, copper, amethyst, and such electro blue. Storm dragons are distinguished by their powerful spiked tails and patterns on the wings in the form of lightning, which are bright in males and paler in females. The horns on the heads of storm dragons differ from fire and ice ones. They have 3 horns on each side, and they stick out quite strongly to the sides. Another characteristic feature of storm dragons is that they are nocturnal, unlike fire and ice dragons. During the day, storm dragons doze, and they do it not lying down, like their fiery ice brethren, but in a sitting position. They wake up at night, and that's when they start to make a rustle. The more high-level a dragon is, the more different techniques he has in his arsenal. The smallest lizards are not able to beat with electricity and can only bite, but already from the 2nd stage, the dragons begin to spew lightning and cause very good damage. The way they spit lightning is a sight that can make anyone sick. It looks fucking beautiful, and the bigger the dragon, the stronger and further his lightning strikes. With their lightning formations, thunder dragons do not set fire to anything and do not freeze, but they cause damage to the target, much more significant than ice and fire. At the 3rd stage of growth, the dragon learns to spit fireballs, which not only hit the target, but also blow up the area around. The bigger the dragon, the more powerful attacks it is able to carry out. However, the most frequent attack of a storm dragon is a bite. It is very fast and powerful, but it does not always lead to instant death. The storm dragon is able to hold the victim in its teeth and shake it in the same way as dragons of other species do. Another type of melee attack in storm dragons is a tail strike. This is a very powerful blow, but in order to carry it out, the dragon needs to be well contrived, and this takes some time. So he will not be able to carry out such an attack several times in a row. After killing a storm dragon, you will get a shot from. It's similar to what falls from ice and fire dragons, namely skull, bones, heart, meat, scales, and blood. All of these items are used by analogy with fire and ice equivalents. That is, you can make armor that will protect you from dragon attacks, you can stack scales in a block, and you can craft a sword that has 9.5 units of damage, and that will strike lightning, set fire, and deal an additional 4 units of damage to fire and ice dragons. You can create a summoning crystal, which I already told you about at the beginning, and you can also create a storm dragon horn, and make a thunder dragon in its steel, from which armor, weapons, and tools are made. Everything is similar to what happened with the fire and ice dragon steel, and, of course, the excess ingots can be folded into storage blocks. By the way, for reference, absolutely any weapon and tools made of Thunder Dragon steel strikes with lightning, so here's a new little life hack for getting charged creepers. Well, if you thought that the lightning spewed by dragons also charges creepers, then break off they don't charge. Perhaps this will change in the future, But so far the jets of electricity spewed by dragons, as well as ball discharges, do not give the creepers a charge. To get a storm dragon as a pet, you will have to climb through the depths of the shroud, jungle or clay mountains, and look for a den with big dragons there. If you are lucky enough to get an egg, then you can breed yourself an electric lizard. To do this, you need to place the egg under the rain. It may happen that it will not hatch in one rain, so you will have to keep it under the open sky until the next downpour. To breed storm dragons, you will have to find a thunder lily. It is quite rare. It grows in savannas, and this, one can say, is the easy part. The difficult one is that to create a reproduction medicine, you also need the fruit of Horus, so you will have to climb into the vendor. The craft of medicine, by the way, is like this. What else interesting have we got in this update? A new metal copper and a new gem amethyst. Deposits of copper ore are found everywhere in the world. They don't lie deep. Copper can be melted down into ingots, and all the same tools, weapons and armor can be made from these ingots as from silver. Although it is much weaker in quality, amethysts can only be found deep in the depths of the savannah. There is little need for them, and in addition to the summoning crystal for storm dragons, you can also make such beautiful decorative blocks out of them. From copper and thunder dragon steel, you can make very beautiful armor for dragons. Cannoli appeared from new items. Who does not know what it is? I will tell you. These are such crispy waffle tubes with cottage cheese and syrup. In general, it's delicious. They don't have crafting, but they can be found in chests as loot. Of the useful properties, they give you a third-level power effect for 3 minutes, which is very cool. Ate such a thing, and you can go to bring down the dragons. The update has also added new flags to us, and now there are a lot of them in general. Initially, I was going to show you only the banners themselves and crafting their patterns, but it turned out that a lot of people are still not familiar with the new mechanics of creating flags in the mine. Starting with the version of Lane 114, a loom has been added to the game. You can find it in villages, or craft it from 2 boards and 2 threads. In order to create a flag with a pattern, you need the very basis of the flag. It is made as usual from sticks and 6 hairs, and the dye. For those who have not yet understood why the ink bag, lapis lazuli, cocoa and bone meal are not dyed, they now also need to be redone in the dye. So, we put the base of the flag in the upper left slot, and the dye in the upper right. And now we can choose which pattern we want to put on the flag. And here on the right, you will see in advance what your flag will look like with one or another pattern. If you pull it out of the slot, then it will remain that way. You can put it back in the left slot and choose another pattern. Then the pattern will be layered, so the mechanics really became more convenient than it was in previous versions. And now the most important question is, how do we put all sorts of cyclops eyes, feathers of Stymphalian birds, and dragon heads on the flag? To do this, you need to use a special pattern template. It is made from an ordinary piece of paper, and those items that are provided for creating templates. Let's take, for example, the skull of a thunder dragon. Here is the template we have. Now let's put it in this slot under the flag base and dye. You see, we got a very beautiful flag with the head of a stormtrooper dragon. In total, at the moment, the Ice and Flame mod adds as many as 19 patterns for flags to us. I'm not going to say much here. I'll just say that of all of them, only this one has put me in a dead end. To craft it, you need this kind of thing. I didn't really understand where to get it. Most likely, this is a bun for fashion sponsors. It is possible that it can be found in chests, but I have not come across it. The rest of the banners are crafted using a similar technology, only with the replacement of ingredients in the template. I'll just show them to you with a beautiful music. Enjoy it. The armor rack is now affected by the Gorgon's head. If it petrifies, then it is no longer possible to interact with it. But this way you can create quite interesting compositions for interior decoration. portal blocks appeared. It is not possible to enter the portal yet, but you can look there. Already in its texture, blue-eyed skeletons, white walkers, they are soldiers of the Army of Terror, are visible. All creatures from the mod version 4.1.12.2 have been transferred to the tag, so we will not part with any of the familiar inhabitants of fashion. Not with hippogriffs, not with hippocampuses, not with Hydra, and not with anyone else. In addition, the textures of some creatures have been redesigned, for example, by the same Gorgon. And speaking of the update, it's impossible not to mention the new bugs. One of them is that the dragons have a nervous tick again. They are jerked under the rider on the ground and in flight. The eggs of ice dragons, which are in the process of incubation and have already been covered with ice, disappear after you re-enter the game. Flags are very crookedly placed on the dragon. They used to stick out on the saddle behind the rider, but now they sew through the dragon. And what bugs have you found in the new version, dear friends? Share your experience in the comments below this video. To top it off, I would like to express my thoughts about the update. In my opinion, it turned out very well, despite any bugs. The Thunder Dragons came out really cool. They have very beautiful models and textures. The lightning they spew is a real epic. Copper strains a little. The armor of weapons made of it is almost the same as leather and wood. It seems to me that it was worth adding some special property to them, because otherwise copper is needed only for dragons to litter. And I would like to get the craft of those very canoles, even if it would be difficult. For example, to make them, you would need dragon fire or something like that. And what do you think about the update, dear viewers? Be sure to share your thoughts and ideas in the comments below this video. Well, that was all the dragon news. We will now wait for the Queen of Horrors and other interesting creatures that the developers promised us. If you liked the video, I'm waiting for a well-deserved lycosic. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and look into the VK group. And that's it for today. See you soon. Bye-bye.